Welcome to the Northside Nine. Today, our boy, the Man of Steele, hits the IL. Cubs hit the skids in LA. We're going to give you a farm report and check in on what's going on next week. And what's going on with Kyle Tucker? Are we talking an expansion? Let's find out next. Hello again, everybody, and welcome to 4-Star Chicago Sports. Once again, welcome my boy Kyle back in the house. This is the Northside Nine. We're going to break down the week's action, find out what we missed, what we got to catch up on, and what we got to look forward to in the weeks coming up. Kyle, how you doing this morning? Or I should say this afternoon now that we're at noon.
Yeah, doing good, man. I feel a little bit better than I do on most Saturday. I had another hour of sleep there. Probably doing better than Craig Counsell, Sean.
Oh, man. I do want to get into some things. I know backstage before the show started going, we were having a little discussion about last night's outcome. And, let's get into that. And we'll get into Justin Steele and Kyle Tucker here. And I think we're going to, as we talk about the farm report, I think we're going to mix that in a little bit with Justin Steele because we might have to find someone in that farm system based on some reports to take that slot. So first off, last night the Cubs did fall to the Dodgers 3-0. One bad pitch by Boyd did them in. Matthew Boyd still off to a fantastic start for the Chicago Cubs. The Cubs did finish the week 3-3, taking 2 out of 3 from the Texas Rangers and obviously dropping one last night to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, my problems with yesterday's game was, when you play these top teams, the Phillies, the Mets, the Yankees, the Dodgers, you're going to be in these tough pitching matchups, especially when you play the Dodgers, because every starter they have is an ace. My biggest problem with yesterday was the aggressiveness of the Chicago Cubs in that 6th inning. And not only that, top half of the 6th, the whole 6th turned into a disaster in my eyes. First off, in the top half of the 6th, when Seiya hit that base hit, I don't know if Kyle is on board with me here. I think Seiya was thinking that Tucker was going to be sent home and he was going to be able to coast in the second base. He got caught in between first and second because they held Tucker at third. My problem with this is when you're facing these guys like Yamamoto, who gives every team he faces a ton of fits, you have to be aggressive on the base pads. The Cubs have been aggressive all freaking year. For some reason, hey, maybe he's thrown out from right field, but not every every throw from the outfield is perfect. That throw could have been offline. They could have manufactured a run right there, had another runner in scoring position with Seiya at second base. They didn't force any of this, and Seiya got caught up in a rundown. Now, the bottom half of that inning, he had the double. He gave up the double. Then he hit Freddie Freeman with the pitch. And before he gave up the double, I can't remember who got the double, but he was laboring a little bit to start that 6th inning. Tommy Hotovy and Craig Counsell kind of laid back and kind of, to me, let that home run by Edman happen. They should have, after that, in my opinion, which I have a lot of love for Tommy Hotovy, first off, I thought they should have pulled the reins back a little bit, got him off, got him to relax after he hit Freddie Freeman, because right after that Tommy Edman home run, they decided to come out, get him to calm down. What does he do? He strikes out the next 2 batters. I think that should have happened before Tommy Edman, seeing that Tommy Edman right now has 5 gosh darn home runs on the season. That 6 tied him for the league lead through the first couple of weeks. So, Kyle, I don't know where you want to go from here. Or your take on it, but what's your takeaway from the Bumble in North Hollywood yesterday?
I don't know. I mean, Sean, the Kyle Tucker play, not going home, that's kind of one of those damned if you do, damned if you don't. I mean, you want to see him be aggressive, but if he would have been caught at home, if he would have been thrown out at home, people probably would have been giving him a hard time. It's just an unfortunate situation. Obviously, Seiya Suzuki made his decision based off the fact that he thought Kyle Tucker was going to go home, so they would try to throw that ball home and he could take second. But It's just unfortunate. I mean, you're right. They probably should have gone and talked to Matthew Boyd earlier in that inning. But either way, it's still a great outing. The guy allowed 3 runs through 6. It's a quality start. The guy now has a 1.59 ERA on the season. If you would have told me before this season that through 3 starts and one of them being against the Dodgers, Matthew Boyd's allowed 3 runs in 3 starts, I'd be ecstatic, Sean. He has been basically an ace for this team so far to this point in the season. I expect that to probably end at some point. Unfortunately, Matthew Boyd is a guy who I think his career ERA is somewhere around 3. He's probably going to end up somewhere there, around there this year. But yeah, it's just, I mean, even if the Cubs scored that run with Kyle Tucker, they still would have lost the game. They lost 3-0, even if it was 3-1, not a big deal. But yeah, it's a tough team they're playing, and the Dodgers, they're a championship caliber team, no doubt. I expect them to be the championship favorites for the rest of the season. I think they're capable of winning 115 games, and you have to play perfect baseball if you're going to beat them, especially when Yamamoto's on the plate, because I know Yamamoto had some ups and downs his rookie season, but if you guys been watching him this year, he looks like the guy that they brought him over here to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's off to a hot start. And Matthew Boyd, I saw this during the game, and I tried to memorize all the stats. I'm sure this went up just a little bit, probably to 1.8, 1.85 after that 3-run home run. But his previous 13 starts leading into yesterday's ball game, he had a 170 earned run average. He struck out 70 batters. He's walked 30. And that's since coming off of the DL. He was fantastic for the Indians in the playoffs last year. So this might be something that, he's bouncing back after his injuries. Now, Boyd is also, I believe we can double check this, but I'm pretty sure I'm accurate. He's never went over 88 innings in a season. So we do have to be fragile or watch him, because maybe he's fragile. But right now, as you said, Kyle, he looks like an ace. He looks like hopefully the guy that will pick up for the unfortunate IL stint of one Justin Steele, which we can talk about unless you have anything else you'd like to talk about last night's ball game.
I mean, first and foremost, Sean, just as a Cubs fan, obviously I stuck my foot in my mouth. I told you I was not a huge fan of that Matthew Boyd contract for $29 million. Now, the season's still early, and there's a chance that he could fall off the cliff here, but he has been absolutely amazing. He is literally, with Justin Steele gone, he's going to be one of the guys that's going to have to hold this team together. He's going to have to step up. He talked about that. I don't know if you saw that interview or not, but he basically said it's time for us all to pitch the best we've ever pitched, because losing Justin Steele in this rotation is going to hurt a lot. Mm-hmm. He has been absolutely amazing, absolutely great. I don't want to say you feel comfortable with Imanaga and him as your 1-2 punch now, your two aces, if you will, but I feel a lot better about Matthew Boyd being the number 2 than I did 6 weeks ago. I can tell you that, Sean. He looks like a really good pitcher.
And again, we're going to need him. Shota had a rough start at Wrigley on Wednesday in the closeout. I really thought we were going to sweep the Rangers. That's going to happen from time to time. Corey Seager got to him a couple times. It's a really good lineup. He's not going to be perfect every time out. He only had a couple stinkers last year. So I expect Shota to bounce back as well. As we get into the Justin Steele portion of this, as maybe Cubs fans have heard, he felt some elbow discomfort in the middle of his last start. He went out more scoreless innings, and he still did not feel right the next day. The Cubs then put him on the 15-day IL. This came out yesterday per Craig Counsell that Justin Steele will seek a second opinion on his left elbow tendonitis, stating this is the 3rd time he's dealt with this injury. They want to know why it keeps happening and if it's more serious than just tendonitis. Jesse Rogers from ESPN 1000 today said he has a sense that after Justin Steele's imaging, the news today might not be as good. He wasn't reporting anything for sure, but says his gut is that it's not going to be a minimum IL stint. This, my friends, is disturbing news on every level, especially coming off that Monday brilliant performance that Justin Steele had. Kyle, I know we've talked about this ad nauseum. Where do the Cubs go from here? I'll let you start this one off, brother.
Well, Sean, this Justin Steele injury is bad in a lot of ways. I mean, first and foremost, you guys, this is the same injury he dealt with last September. It's the exact same elbow. It's the exact same spot, tendonitis. This sounds like something that they are saying may require surgery in order to be a permanent fix, because it's obviously a recurring issue. even if they did rush him back and he felt better after those 15 days, you're just worried that it's probably going to happen again. It seems like there's something that's probably there's some permanent damage in that elbow somewhere that needs to be fixed. I think they are going to lose Justin Steele for more than a month. I think this is going to be a long stint on the IL. This is what we've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 weeks, Sean. I mean, it's tough not to be positive right now as Cubs fans because they've looked so good. They're scoring so many runs. They're leading the league in stolen bases. But, I mean, ultimately this is, probably the worst news they could have received, right? Maybe outside of Kyle Tucker getting hurt or Shota Managa. But Justin Steele is right now their ace. He is the guy they depend on. He's the run stopper. He's the guy that they need the most in this rotation. And it sounds like he's not going to be here. There's a couple different reasons this is not good for them, Sean. First of all, now you're worried that they might rush somebody from the minor leagues up, like a Cade Horton, maybe. I don't want to say stunt his growth, but they obviously believe that guy's not ready to pitch in the majors right now. That's why he's in AAA. He's coming off an injury from last year himself. You don't want to see that guy rushed up here. And it's just, there's just nothing good about it. There's just no good news that comes from your ace being hurt. And like I said, the article I read this morning, Sean, it's the second opinion is not just for the fact that this is a recurring issue. The second opinion would be to discuss all the different ways that they could address this, which I heard. You guys, like I said, nobody knows anything yet. Nobody knows the results of the MRI. They have not been released, but the word surgery was mentioned more than once in that article. And if that's the case, this could be very scary for the Cubs. They could end up shutting him down for the rest of the season. And we've talked about all season, John, the Chicago Cubs, because of their lack of spending in the offseason, because they don't go after those Max Frieds and those big names. They have a razor thin margin of error. They cannot be beat up by injuries. This is like the Bears last year when you're so thin, you don't have any depth. And Javier Assad's already hurt. We've talked about that. They keep on pushing his return back. I mean, for me personally, Sean, as a Cubs fan, this is worst case scenario. This is one of those things. This is what Justin Steele is the name you reference when you're talking to your buddies and saying, worst case scenario, what if gets hurt? Justin Steele is the name that I think most Cubs fans would use in that conversation.
Yeah. And for me, we talked about this ad nauseum over the first month of the season about Shota and Steele being that 1-2 punch at the top of the rotation and how important it was, and we also talked about, the durability of Steele, and maybe we were a little concerned about it, and then banking on the upside rather than having the certainty for that third spot. Matthew Boyd right now looks like a very smart flyer, as we just touched on, low cost. He's been flashing some swing and miss stuff, but he's never really been a consistent difference maker. And I don't want to pour salt on the guy because he's off to a fantastic start, but as we've talked about, the issue for us is when you need those lottery tickets to hit, instead of having the luxury, when you look at the Los Angeles Dodgers, who are down 3 starters, and guess what? You're still facing 3 aces. So if the injuries continue to stack up for the Cubs.
I mean, Sean, the Dodgers have Bobby Miller on there in the weights.
Yeah.
The guy throws 104 miles an hour. He's just sitting there doing nothing, waiting to be called at some point. I mean, this is another thing that's very scary about this injury, Sean. The Cubs have gotten off to a really hot start, right? Probably a better start than most of us thought, especially on offense. They're one of the highest scoring teams in baseball, and they have the most stolen bases in baseball. Here's what scares me about the Cubs, Sean, and they've done this before. If they think there's a chance that this team could compete for a World Series, which I do not, but if the Cubs brass believes that they can, I'm afraid that they're going to be willing to part ways with some really, really good prospects who could help this team for a long time in the future, who they could help you get sustained success, and trade that farm system away for a pitcher to replace Justin Steele because they think they have a chance of winning the World Series now. And I'm going to say this again, Sean. I do not believe the Cubs can win a World Series this year. I just don't. I don't think they're good enough to stand up against the likes of the teams like the Yankees, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies. I think in a long 7-game series, ultimately the Cubs would lose. They just don't have a deep enough pitching staff, especially without Justin Steele. Now that's a huge, massive blow to them. All I can say, if I'm a Cubs fan and I'm talking to Tom Ricketts or Jed Hoyer, do not trade away the future of this team to chase a championship now.
This year.
Especially because we don't know if they're going to extend Kyle Tucker, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But if they think they're not going to extend Kyle Tucker, they're like, hey, this is our one shot at it right now. Like, let's try to win a World Series this year. don't trade away the future of this organization to try to win 1 year. Don't do that.
No.
You want to be a team that has years of success, just like the Dodgers and the Yankees. You want to be in that. You should be in that conversation, Sean. You're the fourth most valuable team in baseball. The Cubs should be in this conversation, championship caliber team every single year. They should be one.
Yeah.
And now you see with that lack of spending, that cheap mentality, that penny pinching mentality, you're seeing it right now already. We're a month into the season and already we're talking about how them not signing another stud pitcher in the offseason is killing them. It's already turning fruition. This is not a good start for them.
Yeah, and again, we need it for this team because of their lack of spending. We needed Steele and Shota to be rock solid and then try and help to figure out everything behind them. And now it looks like maybe you found Matthew Boyd, and it looks as though, and I don't have any confirmation because I don't think the Cubs have 100% confirmed this yet, but it does look like ESPN baseball game of the week is going to be the Dodgers and the Cubs, and it will be Colin Rea getting the call to the Cubs on Sunday, and that will be against Tyler Glasnow.
God.
So I mean, but
Sean, can you answer me a question? Because you have more time than I do. You get to you research more than I do. What is going on with Jordan Wicks?
Well, I have some Jordan Wicks numbers, and they're not good.
I mean, this guy should be. This was a first-round pick 2 years ago, and when he was in the draft, he was thought to be by many the most MLB-ready pitcher in the draft. And all of a sudden, this guy just disappears off the face. I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense to me.
So far through 2 starts, Jordan Wicks has a .466 earned run average at AAA Iowa. He's pitched 9.2 innings. He has struck out 6 and has a 176 whip. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a god-awful whip. This is probably why he is not getting the call up right now. I don't know what's happening with Jordan Wicks. There's not. I tried to Google some articles to see if anybody was talking about him. There's not a lot of talk, so maybe there's not a lot of concern. Maybe he's just off to a slow start through his first 2 appearances. But no,
he's rehabbing an injury, isn't he?
I don't think he was hurt because he was playing in spring, and the Cubs just elected to.
I thought near the end of spring he tweaked something or something. Maybe not, but
he could have.
This is what I'm talking. This is what I talk about all the time, guys. When I talk about how baseball is just such a strain. I mean, if you guys go back and watch Jordan Wicks' first game in the majors, he looked like he was going to be here to stay. He was going to be a very good pitcher in this league for a long time, and here we are, less than a year later, talking about like. Man, Jordan Wicks, where is he? He's gone. He's not part of this rotation. I haven't even heard his name being involved in this rotation. Obviously, Javier Assad and Colin Rea both have first pick before he comes in. And then it's like now he has these two games in AAA and he's 5 ERA. Like, what happened to this guy? Is this a developmental problem? Is this Jordan Wicks just stuck in his own head? Does he have an injury? Like, there's just not. I just don't understand. It doesn't make sense to me. This is a guy you drafted in the first round. He should be a part of this rotation for a very long time. So either they're just bringing him along slower than we all thought they were going to, or that was not a good draft pick.
And you know what? Sometimes, unfortunately, that is the case, and they don't always work out the way you want them to. And maybe that's the case here with Jordan Wicks. I hope not, because I actually like what I saw out of him last year. I like what I saw out of him last year, and I still believe in him, and hopefully he will be able to make it into this rotation for the Cubs before the end of the season.
I'd certainly like to see,
or at least out of the bullpen,
I'd like to see him get a shot before Caleb Killian. I mean, I'm sorry, Sean, but my patience for Caleb Killian is wearing very thin. I mean,
well, Kyle.
This is a guy they've been telling us for 2 years is going to be good, and every time he comes up here, he just gets rocked. And the Cubs, for some reason, seem to have him in the front of the line before Jordan Wicks. Jordan Wicks has proven in this league that he's had good games up here, Sean. He's had games with multiple double-digit strikeouts.
Well,
Caleb Killian had double-digit ERA.
Because you don't have to ever worry about Caleb Killian again. Because Caleb Killian, my friend, was released
Thank
The
God.
Chicago Cubs roster move this week. They acquired left-handed pitcher Tom Cosgrove from the San Diego Padres for cash considerations. They opted him to AAA, and the Cubs designated right-handed pitcher Caleb Killian for assignment. Folks, this does not mean he cannot come back to the Cubs. He's going to have to clear waivers. If he does clear waivers, the Cubs can bring him back to AAA unless, which I am not sure, he was out of options, and that means the Cubs would have to bring him up to the big league club, which means he will not be in a Chicago Cubs uniform anytime soon. So if just before we move on, because I want to get back into some of this rotation, Tom Cosgrove, as we just said, Cosgrove, AAA, was designated to AAA for the San Diego Padres. This year, he not off to a good start. 1-0 record, 736 earned run average, 2 strikeouts across 3 2/3 innings. He was designated for assignment by the Padres on April 6th. The Cubs signed him just the other day and again designated Killian for assignment. So his numbers for me haven't looked that great, but you had a couple other hidden numbers in there you wanted to talk about from 2023 on Tom Cosgrove.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Cosgrove, Sean, he is what the Cubs always do. He's a reclamation project. The Cubs signed somebody hoping they can find something inside this guy that we haven't seen in a long time. But in 2023, you guys, Tom Cosgrove pitched over 51 innings, 51 and a third innings. He had an ERA of 1.75 in those 51 and a third innings, and he had a whip of .974. I mean, this guy is a guy who's had success in the majors before. He obviously at one point was a very good pitcher. He dealt with kind of the same thing that Justin Steele is dealing with right now. He had some elbow tendonitis. He had a couple other little minor injuries, and ever since then, it's been an absolute disaster. Like I said, a 1.75 ERA in 2023. He came back in 2024 in 18 relief outings. He had a 11.66 ERA.
Ooh.
So they're hoping this guy can find whatever he was doing in 2023 and can get back to that true form of who they believe he is. But I mean, it's a long shot, Sean. This once again is just another cheap addition for the Chicago Cubs. They don't want to trade for anybody. They don't want to pay anybody. They don't want to take anybody's salary. So they're hoping they can find this guy that was good at one point and make him good again. Most of the time, this does not work out for the Cubs. Hopefully this time it does.
You know, two things too, and I wanted to kind of get this point across. The Cubs went into the offseason or during the offseason, we're talking about acquiring arms like Sandy Alcantara, Dylan Cease. I can't remember the other young kid's name from San Diego that they were trying to get as well during the offseason, and Padres wanted too much for him. If I'm going to say one thing that Cubs management, and I'd really like to post this and put it on their freaking door, the pitching is priceless because even mediocre offenses can compete when you've got dominant arms, and you can never have enough because attrition is inevitable. We've seen this through baseball. Elbows don't care about your playoff hopes, man. Your playoff hopes, excuse me. And, you know, that's why we talked at the beginning that it was dicey that the Cubs were going in with so many questions past Steele and Amaga. And now we starting to have questions about guys like Jordan Wicks. When will Javier Assad come back? You know, and add to this rotation, is Cade Horton ready to come up? And I'm just thinking, as we've both been thinking, Kyle, just imagine how different the tone would have been if the Cubs added a legit arm that could throw 150 innings and have a mid-3 earned run average, you know, like Jamison Tyon a couple of years ago when that's what he was. And the Cubs neglected it again, chose for reclamation projects. Now we're going to see if they made the right move with Colin Rea. I don't know. I'm not going to bag on Colin Rea because I already made that mistake with a certain pitcher in this rotation. So hopefully Colin Rea can find a little magic in a bottle right now and give us a couple of good starts, because I will tell you this, Justin Steele's next couple starts line him up against aces. So that's going to be really difficult for the Chicago Cubs when you have Colin Rea filling in for your ace if he can't give you that ace production. So we're starting to get more questions than answers, and it's only the second week of April. So it's a little frustrating.
This is what we've talked about. I mean, this is what I'm talking about when I tell, you know, whenever Cubs fans get down and gloomy and pessimistic, you always tell them like, hey guys, it's a long season. But the same goes, it works vice versa as well, Sean. You know, the Cubs came out of the first 10 games of the season with a winning record. They were in first place in the Central. And I kept telling people, you guys, listen, I hate to speak into existence, but this is a very long season. They're going to deal with injuries, and they're not a really deep team. They're a team that it cannot stand with. Listen, if the Dodgers lose a starting pitcher, like I said, excuse me, they've got Bobby Miller in the weights. The Cubs don't have that. There is no Bobby Miller here, guys.
Now, really quick, as we say that, Kyle, we have to talk about our top prospect, and that's Cade Horton. Cade Horton seems to be turning it back up and kind of taking up where he left off. He had his second start yesterday, Thursday, excuse me. We got it in the books: 4 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. He's posted a 1.23 earned run average to begin the 2025 campaign. He has 12 strikeouts and 2 starts this season so far for Mr. Cade Horton. I don't know if it's time to bring it up, but that hourglass, the sand in that hourglass has to be getting pretty thin, my friends. So what are we thinking, man? I mean, do you think that, as we say, we don't have a Bobby Miller, we don't have this guy, we do have a Cade Horton, and I guess I'm asking you, what would be your expectation, or when would you like to see the Cubs bring him up? Because originally going into the season, I was thinking mid-May to early June. There might be a need to get him up here a little bit sooner, especially if Colin Rea is that 5th guy, or Assad, if Assad does come back, which last week we reported he was on schedule. They kicked him back 10 days to April 20th. So that's another 8 days on the DL, a couple more missed spots in the rotation. When would you like to see him come up? Do you want Cade Horton to get a little more seasoning on that steak in AAA? What are your thoughts here, seeing that Mr. Horton is off to a pretty solid campaign start to his 2025 campaign?
Well, Sean, it all depends, right? I mean, first of all, Cade Horton, I think this is a rehab from that injury, because he's not pitching a lot. I mean, you notice there's 4. Yeah. He's pitched 2 starts now, and he's only pitched 7 innings. So 3 innings and 4 innings. And listen, 12 Ks through 7 innings is amazing. I mean, this guy is probably who he is advertised as, which is very rare in baseball, because we've talked about this 1,000 times, Sean. Every time they tell us they got this guy who's a stud and amazing, they bring him up here, and we're like, he's okay. But I think Cade Horton is the real deal. I think he is as advertised. The problem is, what are the Cubs' expectations? What do the Cubs think that they have a chance of winning a championship this year? I do not. So if that's the case, and that's the Cubs that are thinking the same thing I am, and this is all about the future, we got to find a way to get Kyle Tucker locked up, then just leave those guys down there. Now, listen, Sean, I'm not saying I want to see the Cubs throw away yet another season and finish just shy of a playoff spot, but at what risk? At what cost? You don't want to hurry his development and then screw it up when you know you're probably not going to win a World Series this year. And you can just wait to bring Cade Horton up later on in the season when you feel like he's more comfortable and he's more major league ready. And then you can start to, Sean, I know you're going to talk about some of these guys in a minute here, but then you can start to bring up a lot of these guys that you've been grooming down there for years now, and start to put this team together, what you think it's going to look like in the future, right? I mean, Ian Happ's probably not going to be here. I have a feeling Seiya Suzuki's not going to be here when the Cubs compete for the next World Series. I don't think Nico Horner's going to be here when the Cubs are competing for the next World Series. Yeah. So if that's what the Cubs are going to focus on, these guys like Alcantara and Owen Casey, and this is going to be these young guys down in the minors. Jefferson Rojas probably eventually is going to replace Nico Horner. If these guys eventually are all going to be the replacements, then just leave those guys down there, let them marinate, let them keep learning from that minor league system, and then. Sean, do you ever get the feeling like some of these guys who come up too soon kind of get like shell shock?
Yeah.
Like they're like, man, this is tougher than I thought it was going to be. This is a lot tough. This is a totally different game than AAA. And then they kind of lose some of that confidence. We've seen it with guys like Matt Mervis. PCA had a very, very, very rough start to his major league career. He's obviously gotten better, although he's off to a slow start this year as well. But you just don't want to stunt the growth per se. Like I hate to use that phrase, but if your goal as the Cubs organization is to win a World Series in 2027, when all this youth is up here and on this team, then just keep those guys down there and try to tape this thing together with Javier Assad or Jordan Wicks or Colin Rea, like you mentioned, Sean. But I certainly wouldn't bring Cade Horton up unless you honestly believe you stand a chance to win a World Series. I would wait till at least. I mean, you definitely want to see him up here at some point this year, right? For the future, you want to start getting him some major league experience, but don't rush it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. My original plan with Cade Horton was I wanted him to stay down, through the first 2 months of the season, and really, if anything, take on the back half of the rotation, get him started against some number 5s in the rotation, ease him in, maybe.
Yeah, like Ben Brown's doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I wanted to see with him. Let him get in, let him get an opportunity to dominate some lower halves. And usually, when you get that 5, you get some of those big boppers. If it's the end of a series, especially, you get them to get their day off. So maybe he misses a couple of big bats and it makes him look a little bit better. And I'm not looking for an easy way out for Cade Orton, but I'm saying ease him in, build his confidence, get him ready.
Yeah. It's like giving a quarterback a couple screen passes or slants, knowing that they're easy, they're high completion percentage passes, and you're just building up his confidence a little bit for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
The same could be said about baseball. It's just a more long, drawn out process, right, Sean? I agree with you 100%. The Cubs are gonna stand. Even if they do have all their best hitters in, if he's playing a team and they have their 5th starter in, their worst pitcher in, even if he gives up some runs, but the Cubs still win. Like, say the Cubs win 7-4 in Cade Orton's first start. That in itself should be confidence. Like, you just got a major league win. Whether you gave up a couple home runs or not, it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting that win. I expect them. That's what they're going to do with Cade Orton. As a matter of fact, Sean, I think when Cade Orton first comes up here, they're probably going to give him some long inning relief before they even put him in the starting rotation. That's my guess.
Erica, we love you. We'll still say bear down on Saturday, baby.
Well, yeah, all these shows are intertwined, Erica. You got some Bears news. You got some Breaking Bears news. You could throw it there in the comments. We'll talk about it.
Yeah, and we were just talking, I think before you got on, Erica, Boyd has been exceptionally excellent this year.
1.59 ERA through 3 starts, guys. The best case scenario for Matthew Boyd on the Chicago.
Here, and I'll tell you this, man. Yesterday, every time Ohtani comes up to the plate, you're crossing your fingers, holding your
Sean,
breath.
my hands are still sweating.
He made him look silly yesterday a couple times, man. And I'll tell you the biggest thing for me, for a guy who doesn't, about Matthew Boyd, as a guy who doesn't overpower you, is the swings and misses that he induces. Because over his first 3 starts, he's inducing a lot. Not only that, he struck out Ohtani, I believe, twice last night swinging, which means he had this guy fooled on some pitches. And Ohtani, that second strikeout, Ohtani was pissed. He grabbed his bat in anger. Something, maybe Matthew Boyd is the new Kyle Hendricks, which I have to give Kyle Hendricks a big shout out really quick to the professor. Hats off. He's off to a fantastic start. If you guys haven't seen him in LA, he beat the hell out of the Cardinals the other day, shut him down over 7 innings. I think his earned run average is in the mid 1s right now over his first couple of starts. So I'm happy for Kyle Hendricks. It was time for him to leave Chicago, but I hope the professor puts together a solid season in Los Angeles.
If he played the Cardinals every day, he would have a 0.00 ERA for the rest of. Kyle Hendricks is the Cardinals killer, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Eric is paying attention to him over there. But a couple of things that did get me excited was one of our international products and the former Arkansas Razorback made their debut. And these are 2 guys over the course of the season. You're going to see this guy and probably Kyle keeping their watchful eye on. But Jackson Wiggins and Nazir Mule. Nazir Mule obviously coming off of his injury. He made his debut, 5 innings pitched, 3 hits, 1 earned run, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Guys, this guy is an absolute beast of a stud. Unfortunately,
I bet you Sean's got some cards.
I got a lot on Nazir. He took a little bit of a step back because of his injury. He's a dual threat player. He can play shortstop. Obviously, he can pitch. And then, obviously, the former Arkansas Razorback, Jackson Wiggins, the Cubs' 68th overall pick in 2023, 4 innings pitched, 0 hits, 0 earned runs, 3 walks, 4 Ks. So the Cubs, as we continue on this farm report, we kind of just float into it. I'm going to give you a couple other guys that are at AAA right now that could help the Cubs immensely. Luke Little is played in 4 games. He's only averaging about an inning and outing, 4.2 innings pitched, 4 strikeouts. He's got a .86 whip. His earned run average is 386, but I don't really worry about earned run averages. I like to know about the whip. Hits, wins and hits and innings pitched. That is where it's at. It's low. It's perfect. The next guy, Keegan Thompson. We've heard this guy. We've had this song and dance. We've danced with this guy in the major leagues, but he's off to a killer start. 3 games so far, 3.2 innings pitched. He struck out 9 over those 3 and 2/3 innings. He has a 0.0 earned run average and carrying a very healthy 0.55 whip. So as we go over this, as this bullpen continues to struggle, guys like Nate Pearson, we may have some relief on the horizon in the minor leagues. Kyle, you may want to speak about Keegan Thompson. I don't know. I've always been a Keegan Thompson fan. I know he's had his struggles here and there, but if they bring him back up and put his dancing shoes back on, how do you feel about Keegan Thompson and Luke Little?
Well, Sean, the farm system is not my worry. I think the Cubs still have it. The Cubs, if you guys watch, they always rank the farm systems before the season starts. And after the Cubs traded away a big chunk of that farm system for guys like Kyle Tucker and a couple other guys they brought here, Presley, their farm system started to drop in the ranks a little bit, but I don't think that it should have. I think Keegan Thompson could be a very good relief pitcher in baseball. I think Luke Little, if he puts it together, could be a very good relief pitcher in baseball. Sean, you talked about guys like Nazir Mule and Wiggins. This is the future of the Chicago Cubs, guys. We've already talked about Cade Horton ad nauseum. These are the guys who are going to fill out this roster in 2026, 2027. These are the guys who are probably going to be here for what we believe should be a championship run for this team, especially if they can find a way to extend Tucker. But I'm excited about all of it. I think Keegan Thompson should be here right now. What would it hurt, Sean? I mean, look at their bullpen. I mean, Pearson allows a run every time he comes in, right? He has 9 innings. I think he has 9 innings pitched, 9 runs allowed. So he allows a run every single time he comes in. You have guys who, like even Merriweather, who's a great pitcher, and when he gets back to true form, he's got to be really good. But it seems like that injury is still bothering a little bit. He's not finding the zone like he was when he first came to Chicago. So bring Keegan Thompson, Luke Little up, give him another shot, crack at this. I don't think Luke Little was given a very fair shot when he was up here. The Cubs were abysmal. It was a disaster when Luke Little was playing up here. There wasn't, these guys feed off each other, Sean. You see this in baseball more than any other sport. Once you get one guy in the lineup who starts hitting like crazy, they all kind of follow suit. When you get one guy in the rotation who's allowing 0 runs every start, the rest of the guys are like, man, well, we can't go out there and allow 8. I can't let Justin be that much better than I am. They all start playing off of each other. They all make each other better. I think this is a much more healthy environment for these prospects to come up here and see. And then, Sean, Keegan Thompson has so much major league experience. He's ready. Yeah. Bring him up here. See what you can get from him. If he starts to struggle, then send him back down and be done with it. But for me, Sean, Wisniewski and Thompson, it was always kind of like a battle to see who was going to be the guy who they kept here and who was going to be the guy who became a permanent part of this roster. And obviously the Cubs like Keegan Thompson. That's the guy they decided to keep. So what does it hurt to bring him up here now? I don't think you're losing anything by doing that.
Yeah, and the one other guy I wanted to touch on, because this is a guy that's near and dear to Kyle and I's heart, and that is a big time prospect for the Chicago Cubs. And I got to tip my cap. And I'm sorry, I'm going to look down here because I have to look at my notes. I didn't prepare a screenshot because I did this right before we went on the show. In 6 games, 27 plate appearances, 3 runs, 11 hits, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 1 home run, 4 RBIs, 6 stolen bases, caught once, 4 strikeouts, no walks. We hope that flips a little bit, but off to a 423 start, 692 slug, and a 1.13 OPS. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the Cubs' future, Christian Hernandez, my friends. He is off to a fantastic start to the season. I bet you thought I was going to say Jefferson Rojas.
I thought you were going to say Kevin Alcantara, but yeah, Sean, you and I have been talking. How long have we been talking about Christian Hernandez? God, I feel like it's been a decade. It's been like a decade. I think didn't he get to the Cubs farm system when he was like 16?
Yeah, he's been around for a while. Yeah, I think he's only 19 right now.
He's an international prospect too, right? Yeah. He came from, he's a Cuban?
He is from Dominican Republic.
Yeah. He is when he first got here, when he was like 16 years old and he first got to the Cubs, they were comparing him to guys like Derek Jeter. They were saying this guy is absolutely going to be a bona fide superstar in majors. And finally, Sean, this year, I know it's a small sample size, guys, but it looks like Christian Hernandez is going to be the real deal. The Cubs farm system has so much talent, guys. Guys like Jefferson Rojas and Christian Hernandez are both expected to be superstars in this league. You still have guys like Alcantara and Casey who are both expected to be really good players in this league. If you could sign a guy like Kyle Tucker, extend him, make that like the cornerstone of this lineup, and you bring all these guys up and they all start to play. You already got PCA here, you got Amaya here, you got Matt Shaw here, and people who are worried about Matt Shaw, slow down, guys, slow down. You have to give this. Listen, I'll be the first to say I am not a huge fan of Matt Shaw's stance. I think that needs to change at some point in his career. You can't have your back turned to the pitcher, Sean. I mean, you're already losing. You're already losing a split second trying to get that body turned back towards the pitcher and try to catch up to that pitch. I just don't think it's good for sustained success. I don't think it's going to last very long. I think the major league pitchers have already kind of figured him out. Like, hey, if I just throw heat down the middle, it's going to take a lot. It's going to be tough for this guy to catch up to it in the majors because we're not throwing 92. We're throwing 100. And I think at some point, Matt Shaw is going to have to adjust that swing, which is fine, right, Sean? Not a big deal. This guy, he's played 13 games in baseball, and people are like jumping ship. Like, guys, PC's been given a year and a half, and Cubs fans love him. Just give Matt Shaw some time. Give him some time.
I'll tell you this right now. Jackson, I'm going to use Jackson Holliday, the number one prospect in Major League Baseball last year. When he came up to the Orioles, everyone was like, oh, my God, here he comes. Guys, he hit like 0-46, and they sent him back down for like a month, and he came back up, and it's been wheels up ever since. But sometimes it takes the stint. It takes some time. I preached to everyone to be patient with Miguel Amaya, and it paid off, and we're preaching the same thing right now. Matt Shaw's going to get it. Leave him at the bottom of the lineup. Maybe by July or August, it'll click.
Oh, he's going to go on a tear.
It's going to take time.
You know he's going to go. At some point, he's going to go on a tear, and Cubs fans are going to fall in love. John, the same could be said for that guy. Who's the center fielder for the Padres?
Oh, Jackson Merrill?
Yeah, he had a rough start, too, when he got up here. But that guy, he's right now they're saying he's in the MVP conversation.
That guy's really good at baseball.
This is baseball. This is what baseball – and as a kid, I never really understood it. The older I got, the more I'm like, all right, this is just a game of patience. You guys talk about people in the NFL. Their prime is what, 23, 24 to 28, 29? Baseball's prime is like 27 to 31 when these guys finally figure out how to play the major leagues. I'm not worried about Sean. I love, like I just talked about this. I don't want to keep repeating myself here, but I love the Cubs farm system. I think the Cubs could win a championship with the talent they have in the minor league system. The problem is patience is a virtue, right? Don't start trading away future cornerstones for this organization so you can go get guys who can fill in for 1 year or rentals. It's not worth it. The Cubs are not – you guys, we watched it yesterday. We watched the first 2 games of Japan. This team cannot compete with the Dodgers in a 7-game series. It's just not going to happen unless the Dodgers lose Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, and Glasnow are all on the IL list by the time the playoffs come around. But this team is not – I do want to answer this question out here, Erica.
I do too.
What do you guys? Yeah, well, I'll let you start, Sean. But she says, "What do you guys think of Ben Brown? I thought he was better as a starter, but he's not done well starting or in the bullpen this season." So, Sean, go ahead.
I think Ben Brown, and I think we've talked about this. I think he needs to add another pitch, number one.
Yes.
But I do think, and this is, I have no concrete proof. I have no inside information. I think that Ben Brown is going to be a holdover until an Assad gets back. Because I do think that if you bring in a Ben Brown, especially in a start where you have Matthew Boyd, and say Boyd goes 5-6 innings, and he's throwing that junk at 76 to 89. I mean, he pepped it up a little bit. He got a couple balls up to 92.
Oh, Sean, his inside fastball this year is unhittable. It's you could never tell if it's going to hit the strike zone. Right now, he has such good control. That's the one that pissed Ohtani off. Yeah, that's the pitch that pissed him off.
But I'll say this about Ben Brown. Right now, until he develops that third pitch, I really, really think that he's suited to come in after Matthew Boyd or one of these guys with some low velo and give the lineup a different look. All of a sudden, you've been looking at this, 76 to 91. He comes in, he's throwing 95 to 99. That sets you up in really good position. I think that's what he's better suited for. I thought when they traded for him, he was going to be a starter. I don't know right now if he's ever going to develop into that guy, but I do think there's a spot for him on this ball club.
Well, what worries me about Ben Brown is, Sean, I agree with you 100%. He needs a third pitch, guys. Listen, it's a different game, guys. This game has shifted. The baseball has shifted more than any other sport in the world. You're talking about as recent as 20, 25 years ago. These guys could pitch with 1 or 2 pitches and go 9 innings and throw 155 pitches. This is a totally different game. It's all about speed, speed, speed. All these major league teams want guys who can throw 100 miles an hour. So you have to have 3 pitches in majors now, and you're only expected to go 5 or 6 innings, like Sean just said. That's the goal. They want their starters to go 6 innings. Very rarely are teams expecting the guys to go 7+, like to complete games. That doesn't happen anymore. The goal is for these guys to get you through 6 innings. If Ben Brown can't develop a third pitch, he can't get through the rotation 3 times because these guys have seen it already and they know what's coming. Ben Brown has to develop an off-speed pitch. He has to. He absolutely has to. He doesn't have an option. If he wants to survive in this league, if he wants to be a starter, if he wants to get paid like a starter, at some point he needs to develop an off-speed pitch. Can he do that? Probably, but it's going to take some time. It's going to be something that they're going to have to develop. And it's going to be a whole nother year of him, probably half the year in the farm system, come up here. And it's something he's going to have to work on religiously. It's something he's going to have to become obsessive over. They said that early on in spring training, he was working on off-speed pitch, Sean. I don't know what pitch it was, Sean. I didn't see it. I also didn't watch any of the spring training, so I can't sit here and tell you guys that I watched it. But they did say he was working on a pitch. I don't know what it is, but man, if he could somehow sneak something, even if you're throwing it just a handful of times a game, Sean, just to keep that hitter guessing, make sure the hitter never knows when you're going to throw that changeup or that slider. You never know what's coming. He has to add one. If he does not add one, he's not a starter in Major League Baseball. Javier Assad is a better starter than Ben Brown. Right now, Javier Assad's a better starter.
Yeah,
which stinks because with Ben Brown's velocity, he should be a better starter than Javier Assad.
And you know what? And that's what I'm saying, Kyle. When you got like Javier Assad and Boyd, who are going to go 5 to 6 innings per start, Ben Brown's the perfect guy to bring in relief of them in these in situations. Yeah. So I think there's a spot for him on this club. I don't think it's the 5th starter spot. I think due to injuries, he got the 5th starter spot. I don't think he would have got it if Javier Assad wasn't hurt to start the season. That's my personal opinion.
I thought it was going to be Jordan Wicks. I thought both those guys were going to be long and relieving guys, along with Colin Rea. Matthew Boyd would be a starter, and Jordan Wicks would complete the rotation. Like I said, I don't know what's going on with Jordan Wicks. I guess the Cubs don't like him anymore. But yeah, Sean, I agree. If Javier Assad comes back healthy, he needs to be there for the starter. Listen, I understand. People keep saying to me, Javier Assad's always in trouble. He's always in trouble. There's always runners on the base path. There's always traffic. Listen, guys, as long as he's getting out of it,
who cares?
I mean, listen, you're not going to get 7 innings out of him because he's throwing too many pitches when he gets in trouble. Yeah. But as long as he's keeping the earned runs per game under 2 or 3 every game, he's giving you a chance to win. Ben Brown's going to have games where he gets absolutely blown up. He's going, and you know what? I'm telling you guys, I hate to say this, and CTI, I'm sure you're going to love this one, but this start tonight scares the hell out of me, guys. This could go south very quickly, very quickly.
I agree. Here, I'll say this. If Ben Brown is on, I could see a repeat of yesterday with Boyd, because when he's on and he's locating his fastball, which he did not do in his last couple of starts, he's unhittable. But, this is a fastball hitting team, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Maybe the best ever.
Yeah, I think that the Cubs are in big trouble tonight as well. If I'm a betting man, take the over and the Dodgers to win.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not as impressed by Roki Sasaki as most people are. I think he's going through.
He's off to a rough start.
Yeah, he's going through an adjustment period in Major League Baseball as well. I think a lot of these Japanese guys think they're just going to come over here and dominate, and then they're like, "Oh man, this is the best of the world. These guys are all the best in the world." So it's a very tough transition. Major League Baseball is the only baseball league in the world where the diversity is, you're getting the best from the Dominican Republic. You're getting the best from Cuba. You're getting the best from the United States. You're getting the best from Japan. It's just the best of the best of the best. There's always going to be an adjustment period. But I will say, if the Cubs are going to beat the Dodgers because of their offense, tonight is the night to do it, because Glasnow is pitching better than Sasaki. If you're going to do it to go score 12 runs tonight, and maybe you can walk out of this series with a win. But man, This team, you guys, for me personally, and I know CTI is just loving this conversation, but this is one of the best teams I remember in baseball history, in my memory. I mean, this is a team where I believe Major League Baseball could just stick the Dodgers in as the NL All-Star team against the AL All-Star, and they could win. They could win that game. There's a chance they could win that game. There's just, Sean, there's no break in the lineup. There's no like, whew, at least I made it through those 4 guys. Now I'm down to the bottom. They're all, look at Tommy Edman hit that home run last night. I mean, there's somebody in their lineup always steps up.
Yeah, Tommy Edman is a very big surprise to be tied with 6 home runs and leading tied for the league lead.
Of course he is, because he's a Dodger. Of course he's leading the league in home runs. Why wouldn't it be Tommy Ed? If I had asked you in the beginning of the season, Sean, hey Sean, by April 12th, who's going to be leading the league in home runs? You would have been like Ohtani or Freeman or Betts. You never in a million years would have said Tommy Edman would be the Dodger who's supplying all the power for this lineup. And you guys, what's scary about this Dodgers team, I talked to Sean about this the other day. Collectively as a team, I think they're hitting like 240. That's going to go up.
Yeah.
At some point, that's going to go up. Like Campbell, CTI says right here, Dodgers bats been cold lately. Yeah, I agree, Campbell. But at some point, they're not going to be cold. Ohtani's going to start crushing home runs. Betts is going to start crushing home runs. Freeman's going to be his on-base machine that he always is. At some point, this team's going to be even scarier than they already are, which is scary in itself.
Well, let's put it this way. And I know we talked about this backstage before we got on, because the Cubs have Dylan Cease coming off of a rough start in their first game in San Diego. Well, Tyler Glasnow, which will face, it looks like Colin Rea. I'm not 100%. That's what's penciled in right now. Colin Rea coming off a very rough start in the city of brotherly love of Philadelphia. He only lasted 2 innings, giving up 5 runs. He's coming in with a 171 whip, 643 earned run average in 2 games. He did dominate the Braves in his first start on 331.
Everybody's dominated the Braves.
One bad. Let's see where that goes. And I know Kyle I know we talk about it, and Kyle's like, of course they had the bad start before the Cubs. Now they're going to bounce back and dominate and get back to themselves. You know, that could be very well. But for me, when you, like I said at the beginning of the show, and you play a team like the Dodgers, you have to be aggressive. You have
perfect. You have to be perfect, Sean.
Not only perfect, but you have to take chances. You have to be aggressive. The Cubs, you look at the Cubs every game this year. They've been aggressive on the base pads. They've been pushing and putting pressure on the defense. They didn't do that last night. They played conservative. And I'm sorry, I'll say it like I said at the beginning of the show. Yamamoto's on the hill. You know he's not giving up a lot of runs. You know you're going into one of the deepest bullpens in baseball. Put some pressure on this guy. Push that run across the plate. Test their defense. I just didn't like anything about that entire 6th inning. It actually caused the Cubs to – the 6th inning cost the Cubs the game. You take that out, they played 8 other great innings. I mean,
Sean, there was a Dodgers fan sitting at the bar actually next to Bruce last night. He was a very nice guy, but he mentioned numerous times about how he's like, man, Boyd looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. He's like, it was just that one mistake, man. It was that one mistake. If this was you could tell these were 2 very good teams playing each other. It had a playoff vibe to it, a playoff feeling to it.
This is the one thing you do have to take away. I know they lost 2 games in Japan and they lost yesterday. The Cubs have still played the Dodgers really, really tough.
Sean, there are a lot of teams the Dodgers would rather play than the Chicago Cubs. I promise you that. They want to play the teams where they're winning 12-0. They don't want to play teams where they're winning 3-0 and they're sweating into the 6th inning. But that's the problem with the Dodgers, Sean. You make that Matthew Boyd had that one bad pitch, just that one bad pitch. I wish he probably wishes he could have back.
It was a breaker that didn't break.
That was a meatball, Sean. That was a meatball.
Breaker that did. But you know what? He was dropping that pitch out of the zone all day, and that one.
I know. But if he had left that thing there against Ohtani, that would have been a 500-foot home run. If Tommy Edman's crushing it, that thing would have been absolutely destroyed by Ohtani. But yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not taking anything away from Matthew Boyd. He had an amazing start. You got to score more than 0 runs. I mean, you got to score runs. You got to score runs. You can't score 0 runs and expect to win games. You're gonna have to score runs. But like I said, Sean, there's no easy game when you're playing the Dodgers. I mean, it's like, then we get Sasaki, and then we get Glasnow, and then Blake Snell's up, and then it's like, dude, it just never ends. It never ends.
It's much
Bobby.
Like
I would call the Dodgers and just ask what they want for Bobby Miller. Like, what's the compensation you guys are looking for? Because they're not going to pay Bobby Miller. They're not going to pay him. They don't have enough money to pay Kyle Tucker. They don't have enough money. They can't go that far with a luxury tax, Sean. The Dodgers team is who it is, and they're not going to pay Bobby Miller. He's going to be released by the. He's going to when he's a free agent. He's going to go somewhere else. So if I were the Dodgers, I'd be looking to trade him right now. Try to trade him right now.
And guys, give us about 5 minutes, and we're going to get into this Kyle Tucker extension. Before we leave the farm, I just wanted to talk about one future prospect, and this guy is a former Texas A&M Aggie, Evan Aschenbach, if I'm saying it correct. Aschenbach. So this guy is a 6'2", 200-pound lefty, currently playing for the Cubs, the Myrtle Beach Pelicans, which is high A. He was selected in the 13th round, 392nd pick. Now, he's pitched 9 innings, 0 runs, 13 Ks. He's got that 0.89 whip. Aschenbach has been a stud ever since converting to becoming a starting pitcher because he was used in relief. He was the 2024 Stopper of the Year for college. He was 2024 College World Series All-Tournament Team. He was the nation's best relief pitcher. This guy last year won the award behind a 166 earned run average, 72 strikeouts in 65 innings. His entire season last year, 75.2 innings, a 178 earned run average. He struck out 78 while walking 12. He did get 10 saves and again moved over into the closer role later. He wasn't their true closer. He has a 3-pitch mix, including an 80 to 89 mile per hour fastball that at times touches 92 to 93. He has a low 80s short breaking slider that occasionally flashes some sweep to the glove side with an upper 70s tumbling changeup. Aschenbach's stuff, well, it's not overwhelming. He mixes his pitchers well. He does pitch. He misses bats. So he's an above average strike thrower. I will be excited as this kid continues to move up. It does seem like child's play in high A for him. So I would expect this gentleman to be moved up to South Bend pretty quickly. Not only moved up to South Bend, but I wouldn't expect him to take too long to get to the Tennessee Smokies. And just so we know, he had a 6-1 record in the SEC. He totaled. Hold on. I got my. He logged 28 multiple inning performances and 21 scoreless inning outings last year. He was unanimous All-American, first team All-SEC. This guy, he seems like this guy could be a gentleman who is a sleeper, late round pick. As a junior, he appeared in 26 games. He had an 8-1 record, 81 strikeouts, and 65 innings as well. He did post a 346 earned run average. So from his junior to senior year, you could see the improvements. He dipped that earned run average almost in half. And again, he did lead the nation with that 1.78 earned run average over 75 innings. So, Kyle, I know you didn't have a whole bunch of time to study on Aschenbach, but what are your thoughts on a guy who could come up to the ranks pretty quickly for the Cubbies?
Yeah, Sean, this is a perfect example of how chasing velocity could bite you in the ass. This guy should not have been a 13th round pick, Sean. You just said all the accolades. You gave the ERA, the innings pitched. There's no reason this guy should have fallen to the 13th round. He should have been higher picked. I believe Aschenbach could be a really good player in this league. He just has to be one of those guys who has to win with his mind, man. He throws his feet. Sean, you said his fastball hits 92 miles an hour. It's probably going to go up a little bit. He's probably still growing into his true form, his body, but at some point, I expect him to move up through the ranks pretty quickly here, and at some point, I expect to see the Cubs give him a chance at AAA. I think he could be a really good pitcher. He sounds like he's kind of like one of those professor types. You just never know what you're going to get from him. Never know what he's going to throw. He's probably very smart. But yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Sometimes chasing. I was listening to a 670 the other day, Sean. I forgot who they had on there. I know it was a pitcher. I believe it was Kerry Wood, but don't quote me. But I know it was a really good Cubs pitcher. It might have been Ryan Dempster. I don't know. It was a while ago, but he was talking about how you're going to start to see the Greg Maddux come back around a little bit in Major League Baseball. You're going to see a lot more of these Kyle Hendricks, these guys who are going to fool you with their brain as opposed to their arm. They're going to try to get you to believe they're throwing one thing and throw something completely different. Another thing that these young kids are doing in college, or what their pitching coaches are teaching them, Sean, is you never know what pitches. The release looks exactly the same for almost every single pitch. So then they do a really good job of hiding that hand. So if this is a guy who's one of those guys, I root for those guys more than I do the velocity guys, Sean. I mean, listen, I'm not saying it's easy, but it's much easier to go up there and be like, hey, I throw 101 miles an hour. I'm throwing it down the middle. I dare you to hit it. It's much more difficult to throw 90, 86, 87, and just try to throw multiple copious mix of pitches that batters never know what to expect. That's a tougher game to play. So I respect it more. I love the Kyle Hendricks. Greg Maddux and Kyle Hendricks might be my two favorite pitchers of all time. And John Lester. Those are probably my three favorite pitchers.
I'm going to tell you this, Kyle. I'm going to faking Foster's in the house. What's going on, man?
I can only give you 3 likes. Thanks, Foster.
I am Puerto Rican, sir. I am. My dad is from Ponce.
There's a I think it's Seth Lugo in major leagues right now.
Yeah. I wish he was my cousin.
Yeah. Free tickets.
Oh, very nice. Camel toe Boricua in the house. I love it. I was going to say too, Aschenbach in the College World Series last year was absolutely dominant. I believe he allowed no runs and just shut everybody down. So I'm really hoping that we get some of these guys. I'm hoping that we get some of these guys coming up. My uncle actually has 2 houses in Arecibo right now, and I'm going to make it out there eventually, Camel Toe. One of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna make it out there with him.
we're gonna podcast from out there. He just told me he has no air conditioners in the place. So
all right, I'm not gonna make it out there.
We're gonna have to use extra fans.
I've seen pictures of Sean's dad, and he's 100% Puerto Rican, no doubt about it.
All 3 of us, let's roll, baby. Well, the nightlife is outstanding in Puerto Rico, man. So, but we did have we're running low on time, so let's get back into this here. We got about 30 minutes. We don't want to keep up too much of your Saturday's time, but we got to get into this report. And we want to touch on what actually is going on, what's actually going on next week in Chicago Cubs baseball. Before we do that, let's pay some bills. I just want to remind everybody, don't forget about April 24th, Chicago Bears draft party, our 3rd annual, hosted by River Street and 4-Star Chicago Sports. We're going to be broadcasting live, getting your instant reactions to the Chicago Bears draft pick, hopefully at number 10. If they trade back, we're going to hang out with you and get your reaction. If they fall to 15, 16, 17, 18, wherever they are, we're going to be there for you. We got you covered all the way around the field. Now, on top of that, what are we going to do on this day to make your night exciting? We're going to hold an exciting Chicago Cubs charity raffle. Or Chicago Bears, charity raffle that includes some Chicago Cubs ticket giveaways. We're going to be giving away tickets to the Cubs and the Marlins and the Cubs and the Giants. They're both 6:40 games on May 5th and May 12th. We're also going to be giving away this awesome Charles Tillman photo.
Oh, I love that picture, man. I love both those pictures, man.
Yeah, they are pretty dope. And I still have not received this one in the mail. But don't you fret, my friends. If you win this picture, I will make sure it gets in your hands. It's sitting in Carol's stream as per the tracking. I don't know what's taking so long for it to get here from Carol's stream, but it's really starting to aggravate me because it's been there for about a week. Nonetheless, we have this DJ Moore autograph photo. We got Dan Hampton. And I don't think I downloaded, but we do have some new stuff like this wonderful Cario Santos autograph picture beating the Green Bay Packers last year. And we have let me slip right behind me. We got, oh my God, a DJ Moore autographed helmet to give away. We got a Dan Hampton autographed helmet to give away. The gifts are just not going to stop, guys.
You get a prize.
Everybody's going to get a prize. And we're gonna have so much stuff. And like I said, we're gonna get into the crowd. We're gonna get to you guys before the draft. We're gonna find out what you guys want. What do you guys want the Bears to do? So come out. We'd like to put some comments to faces. get out to River Street, 102 North River Street, April 24th. We're going to have $3 tall boys. I know everybody likes to wet their whistle while they watch the draft go down. And we also going to have some chicken bites for you. Maybe Kyle will be working. Maybe he won't. It all depends on how many of you show up to hang out with us. So come hang out. It's going to be a great time. We'll be broadcasting and you know, just kind of hanging out with y'all, man, having a really good time. So we have to get back into this report here. And this report came from Mike Rodriguez, guys. And there are some people that are refuting this report that the Cubs have opened up extension talks with one Kyle Tucker. Now, Mike Rodriguez wrote, according to my sources, the Chicago Cubs have already are discussing a possible contract extension. He goes, let's just see what happens with that. That was reported via Mike Rodriguez from Major League Baseball Insider. The reports also say his agency wants 10 years, $475 million. Now, obviously, we don't have any concrete proof. Jesse Rogers from ESPN 1000 says the Chicago Cubs are not talking about an extension. They're going to talk to him at some point after giving him time to fall in love with Chicago. Now, Mike Rodriguez clapped back and said, here we go again. The same thing happened when you doubted me about Vlad Guerrero, saying last Friday that Toronto and Vlad weren't very close to a $500 million extension. The very next day, Vlad signed that contract, and maybe not to be a liar. So Passion published that story. And he also got Perdomo's contract extension out of Arizona. He nailed that a couple of weeks ago. So although we don't have the Chicago Cubs talking and saying, yes, there are contract negotiations, we do have an insider who has nailed a couple of pretty big contracts.
One of the most respected MLB insiders in
yes.
MLB. He's the Adam Schefter of baseball, man. This guy gets the news before anybody else. He's weaseled his way in. He's obviously a very good negotiator. And for some reason, teams like to give this guy news before they do anybody else. Listen, if Mike Rodriguez is saying it, there's some validity behind it, Sean. I'm not saying maybe it was one little conversation they had over the phone. I don't know. It could be something as small as that. But if he's reporting that, then it's certainly there's some truth there because he's not a guy who just makes stuff up. Now, I also agree with the latter there. I think that it would be good for the Cubs to let him fall in love with Chicago, especially because, man, listen, there is no vibe like playing at Wrigley Field, especially those matinee games where they fill the stadium. You're talking about 42,000 people in that stadium. Sean, we know how it's been for left fielders in Chicago, man. The fans get to the point where they're ending up, the guys in the bleachers are sitting there talking to them, having conversation with them. Right field. Most of these right fielders who play for Chicago love Chicago. They've talked about it numerous times. Even the guys who have left Chicago have said, I absolutely loved playing there. It was great. One of the best fan bases in the world. I think at some point that will play a small part in whether or not Kyle Tucker stays here. But Sean, let's face it. At the end of the day, it's going to come down to one thing, guys. Are the Cubs willing to pony up $500 million for a superstar in this league? We've never seen it. Seen it. The Cubs have never done it. They've never done it. The Cubs are still one of the teams, but I don't believe they've ever signed a player to over $200 million until they can prove. I don't believe so.
Soriano? Because they ponied up pretty big dough. They went max contract on Soriano.
Well, maybe Bruce can look that up for us, but I believe the biggest contract they ever signed was Jason Hayward.
I know that Soriano got a max deal here. I don't remember what his contract was, though. So.
Yeah, but when was Soriano signed? Like, what was the max contract in 1995?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, it's probably, if you compare the values according to inflation, it's probably around the same. But I don't believe they've ever spent over $200 million in one player. Now, listen, guys.
He was 8 years, $136 million.
Yeah, so you guys, the world is changing. You got to change with it. The Cubs are going to have to accept the fact that they're going to have to start spending money. This is just the way the league's going. This is American capitalism. This is how it is. If people keep showing up to the games, these players are going to keep wanting more money. At some point, the Cubs are going to have to make that leap and sign a star. Why not this guy? Look what this guy has done. If it's like God answered their prayers. Like if there's anybody you would sign in a million years to this contract to $500 million, this is the guy, guys. This could be the face of Chicago sports outside of the Chicago Bears for the next 10 years. And if there was him.
If there was ever a way to break down a contract, this is how Vlad Guerrero Jr.'s contract went down. He got that 325 million in between 25 and 39, 17 million for 26 and 27, 16 million into 28, 15 into 29. And his contract's extended all the way out to 3038. And that 6.25 million, I ran out of, they didn't let me put any more, but that is 2038. So you see, it gets cheaper, it gets cheaper, it gets cheaper. They're paying for his services on the front end while he's at the high end of his deal. This is exactly what the Chicago Cubs should be proposing, something very similar to what Vlad Guerrero has received on the north side for Kyle freaking Tucker. Because I'm going to tell you this right now, we've said it, we'll say it every single week until that contract is signed. There is no freaking way you should be letting this guy leave your building at any point in time.
Real quick, not to cut you off, I'll get right back. But Foster, some breaking news here. Foster says, I'm near O'Hara, guys. One of my best friends is in West Indy. Y'all might have 3 extra people on the 24th. I think they met the 24th, the draft show there. But Foster, it would be awesome to meet you in person, man. If you get a chance, you and your buddy from West, I'm sure I know your buddy from West Indy. I guarantee you I've met this guy before, but please, if you guys get a chance, come and hang out with us, man. Even if it's not, you don't have to purchase any raffle tickets. You guys don't feel pressure to do anything. Just come have some fun, man. Come to get to know us, hang out with us. I'd love to see your guys' reaction to the Bears pick, but we really appreciate you
on the air, baby.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, Foster, man. We appreciate you watching the show. Foster does some great work as well, guys. We'd love to see you there, man. Sorry, Sean, didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
That's breaking news for me, man. I appreciate everybody. That Aunt Mass, obviously Bruce, Foster, Liz, Phil, all these guys who come and hang out with us on every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. We appreciate you guys more than you could possibly know. Please, if you have the chance, come hang out with us, man.
You want to know what else?
And if you mention the show, Sean has to buy you a beer. He's already said it.
That is true. If you mention the show, you got to mention it to me, and then I'll put it on my tab. So,
yeah, but Foster, we have Weller Special Reserve, $30 a shot.
By the way, this is very true. Bruce put in our comments somewhere here because it popped on my phone too as we're talking about extensions for Mr. Kyle Tucker. PCA.
Yeah, they've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now. PCA.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't find it in the damn chat. He had it in here somewhere. Where the hell?
Bruce put here. They were talking PCA getting an extension as well. Kyle Tucker goes first. They were talking extension around $75 million. If you're going to extend PCAs, now is the time to do it, guys. The guy's sitting 200. Basically, right now, they expected PCA to be a superstar. At this point, I'd say he's just a really good player. If you're going to extend him, do it now, because once he gets that batting average up, I mean, PCA, when he's on the bases, is one of the best players in baseball. If you're going to do it now. But yeah, I do agree with you, Bruce. Kyle Tucker's first, because Kyle Tucker's more important to this team than PCA, and that's no disrespect. I love PCA, young guy, a lot of energy. He kind of gives me those Javier Baez, Almago vibes. He's the guy who kind of
hopefully doesn't hit like Javier Baez.
Injects life in this team. But yeah, but at some point, you guys, PCA, if you're talking about giving this guy nearly $100 million, he needs to become a more consistent hitter. I mean, listen, I'm not expecting him to hit 320, Sean, but he's got to hit somewhere around 250. He's got to.
And again, guys, with this whole Kyle Tucker extension thing, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I don't think they're saying it's going to happen. This is just Mike Rodriguez. We're trying to stay ahead of the story with y'all. If it does break, you can bet your bottom dollar that we'll be jumping on here to talk about it. You might see me running in circles or have a shitting grin on my face. But, the biggest question is, can they get that chastity belt off of Tom Ricketts' wallet in order to sign this deal? Let's all hope that they can, for the love of Christ. A little bit more Cubs breaking news. Former Cubs World Series catcher, Mr. David Ross, has just been named to Team USA as the bullpen coach. Congratulations, David Ross. He will join former Chicago Cubs second baseman and head coach Mark DeRosa as the head coach of USA Baseball. So keep getting that Cub flavor on USA Baseball, man. Hopefully they bring us home a winner.
John, you don't like Mark DeRosa, do you?
I like Mark DeRosa. Why not? Why would I like Mark DeRosa?
You don't like Edmund?
Oh, Jim Edmonds? Oh, yeah. I hate Jim Edmonds. I don't even care that he was a Cub.
I like Mark DeRosa. I like Jim Edmonds, too. Mark DeRosa is awesome.
You can ask Scotty because I'm sure he'll remember this. Jim Edmonds, when he would come up, I would hope he'd strike out, get hit in the head. He's the only Cub in my life I did not root for. I hated that guy. I hated when the Cubs signed him. It made me want to throw up in my mouth that guy even put on a Cubs jersey. I'm sorry. And I've never really hated a Cub, but I hate that dude. He spent too long bashing the Cubs and being our rival. It's kind of the same way I felt when what's his name came here from the Vikings to the
Jared Allen.
Jared Allen. I didn't have the same hatred, but I didn't like it.
No, I wasn't a huge fan of Jared Allen either. But yeah, real quick, I just want to talk about this, guys. Listen, there's going to be a time and a point where the Cubs need to change this culture. They need to do something like the Bears have done, where they went and got Kevin Warren. They paid one of the top paid. They made Ben Johnson one of the top paid coaches in the NFL. The Cubs are going to have that moment at some point, guys. They have to change the culture. They have to change their ways. They need to spend money. They're one of the most valuable franchises in sports right now. They're fourth in major leagues. Look what the spending the Dodgers did in the offseason. Look at the spending the Yankees did in the offseason. Look at the spending the Red Sox did in the offseason. The Cubs should be up there in that conversation. This is the guy, you guys. Kyle Tucker, to me, it's strange because, Kyle Tucker was on that Astros team. That lineup was absolutely loaded. All anybody ever talked about was Alvarez or Jose Altuve. To me, Kyle Tucker is quietly becoming top 3 players in baseball. I know he's always been considered top 7, top 8, but he looks like he might be up there with Ohtani and Soto. He could be in that conversation. Listen, if there's going to be a guy you're going to pay $500 million, this is the guy. He's on your roster. Just don't let him leave. You don't have to worry about trading for him again or giving up prospects for him and do like that headache. He's here. Just pay him. If you want this team to have a realistic chance for World Series, when you bring all this young talent up from your farm system, a guy like Kyle Tucker would be the cherry on top, guys. This is the guy. He needs to be here. He has. If the Cubs expect World Series in the next 5 years, Kyle Tucker has to be a part of that team. He has to, because I don't believe that there's anybody in the Cubs farm system that has this status on it. Like, Sean, do you believe there's any superstar in the Cubs farm system? I don't. I think they have a lot of really good players and maybe even a couple stars, but not like this. Not like this guy. And Dustin says, pay that man his money. And Mike P says, extend that man. I agree with you guys. This is it. This is the guy. This is the guy we've been waiting for as Cubs fans for a long time. This is the guy that every Cubs fan is going to buy his jersey. Everybody's going to be a fan of him. I mean, Sean, do you have the statistics for this year? I mean, it's insane, guys. He's leading Major League Baseball. He's leading the NL in almost every statistical category. I mean, he literally is right now the best hitter on the planet through this far into the season. It's amazing.
Happens, Kyle, if we don't sign Kyle Tucker? That's exactly what happens.
Yeah. I mean, listen, guys, this guy has, I think, 16 RBIs, 20 hits. He's got 5 home runs. I mean, he's hitting 317 average. He's got, I think he's already got 3 stolen bases. I mean, he does everything. He does everything well. He's good in the outfield. I mean, you guys, with the exception of that one play where he kind of chickened out against the wall over there. But for the most part, he's a very, very good outfielder.
Against the wall. Hey, you know what? I'd rather have him chicken out than break his wrist trying to make a fancy play.
But it wasn't. The wall wasn't as close as he thought it was. It wasn't as close. He pulled up about 4 or 5 feet off that wall. Usually, you've seen guys who pull up about a foot or even smash into the wall. He gave up on that play. Not a big deal, man. I guess if you had to nitpick anything about Kyle Tucker this season, it'd be that one play. But this is the guy. This is the guy Cubs fans been asking for. This is the guy that the Cubs hope they could have developed in their farm system. Obviously, that guy's not down there. PC is not a superstar. He's a really good player. This is the guy. This is it. Hey, Mike, I appreciate you joining us, man. Thank you very much. Mike always tells me he watches the show, and I always call him out. I'm like, no, you don't. But here he is.
Do I know
man.
Mike?
No.
No. Oh, okay.
No.
Well, thanks for watching, Mike.
He's a late nighter show.
Oh, all right. I like it.
Good dude though.
And again, I said this when they're being cheap, with the pitching staff. It's just very, 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 very weary feeling that I have when I see how deep some of these other teams are, and teams like, I was looking at top major league organizations, minor league organizations. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. You know who's number 5?
It's going to be some team that's probably loaded.
It's the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Of course it
I'm
is.
sitting there like, not only are they Jeff Satara and I on Tuesday.
Well, yeah, but Sean, there's a common misconception here because people always say, man, so not only the Dodgers loaded with major league talent, but they're also really good at drafting. It's not about drafting. The reason that they're top 5 in major league prospects is because they're money. It's international prospect, Sean. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's
It's
true.
because they have so much money, they can basically go and sign whoever the hell they want. And I don't know if you guys noticed or not, but now everybody coming over here from a different country, they all want World Series immediately. So they're all going to the Dodgers, even at discounted prices. The Cubs offered Roki Sasaki more than the Los Angeles Dodgers, but he chose the Dodgers. You know why? Because he wants a ring. That's what he wants. This is the guy who pitched in Japan for a while. I think that probably the last thing he needs on his checklist before he quits playing baseball is World Series. He knew the Dodgers were going to give him the best chance to get it. They're probably going to win the World Series this year. Hopefully, Roki Sasaki leaves them at the end of this season and decides he wants to come play with Suzuki and Imanaga and be on the Cubs. But I'll say this, Sean. I'm not taking anything away from Yamamoto. Very good pitcher. I love the guy. My favorite of the 3 right now, and I'm just saying it because they're all Japanese international pitchers. My favorite of the 3 is Shota Imanaga. I absolutely love the guy. I think he's great for baseball. I think he's great for the Cubs. I think he's a cornerstone of this rotation. He should also be here if the Cubs are going to win a World Series. But yeah, if you want to achieve that goal, sign Kyle Tucker. Sign Kyle Tucker.
I'm gonna come for a road trip, CTI. I'm in on a road trip.
So usually it's sex, drugs, rock and roll. Here's CTI: food, women, and weed. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Before we wrap this, we put a bow on this thing. Before we get to the week ahead, a couple of nuggets and tidbits that I ran across this week. The Dodgers are starting. The Dodgers are without starting pitchers Ohtani, Snell, and Clayton Kershaw currently, and the Cubs are still facing Yamamoto, Sasaki, and Glass now. That sucks. So we'll see if they can salvage at least one game in this series. The Cubs have officially got nothing for the Chris Bryant and Craig Kimbrell trade. Kimbrell trade was Magical and Cody Hewer, both non-tendered. Canario and Killian were the players that came over in the Chris Bryant trade. The one thing I do have to say about Blue Jesus is since Chris Bryant's left the Cubs, his body's basically started giving out on him the second he left Wrigley Field.
Yeah, Sean Kimbrell wasn't too good either.
No.
His career was pretty much over. I mean, they took a shot in the dark.
I want to say this because I love you, Scotty Angel, and I don't think he's on today. He usually does follow the Cubs show. But the one thing I have to say is when they started letting go of these guys, this is where his fandom started taking a
Thanks,
hit.
Mike. Thanks a lot.
But the injuries started stacking up. Chris Bryant, when he got hit in the face, was never the same. Baez was never – his decline has been steep. You kind of started to see it, although I think they let Rizzo go at the right time and keeping him a little bit longer. He was definitely the best of the bunch post-Cubs. I mean, he's got a little hit, but that's more of an age-related dip, I think. But I have to say, man, the front office saw the writing on the wall, and they weren't about to spend on what you would call legacy money.
Thanks, Foster. Appreciate you, man.
These guys here through because they won the 2016 World Series. I mean, you're watching these guys just fall off the charts. Yesterday, Chris Bryant got booed off out of Rocky Stadium because he struck out with the bases loaded, and the boos were loud. I mean, this guy has fallen from grace. I feel bad for Chris Bryant because I love Chris Bryant. He's always going to be a part of me because he brought home this 2016 championship, and the Cubs don't do it without him. But, man, had him and Baez just crashed into nothing, man. And it's
Sean,
a damn shame.
Rizzo already had back problems. You knew that was going to continue.
That's what I was saying.
You've seen it with Tiger Woods. Once the back goes, you're in big trouble. And then on top of that, Sean, I love Kyle Schwarber. I think Kyle Schwarber is the guy they should have kept here because he was young, he was cheap. But even Kyle Schwarber, listen, I'll take the 40 home runs all day. But, that 190 average he hits for can be concerning for sure. I don't think the Cubs letting any of these guys go was a major mistake. As a matter of fact, Sean, like you said, most of them, it was the right time. It was time to part ways with these guys. But Sean, they're all going to be a part of Chicago for a very long time. I mean, they were the first team to win first Cubs team to win a championship in 108 years, whatever it was. I mean, I will always respect and love
Addison
Chris
Russell,
Bryant,
unfortunately.
Anthony Rizzo, Addison Russell, everybody
Mike
who played,
Montgomery.
who pitched the last pitch
Yep.
in the World Series. Yeah,
Hey,
I mean,
really quick, too, before we get into the next week, Kyle, I want to say this CTI here really quick. Can your Dodgers fans do me a favor? Because last night I'm watching pitches 4 to 6 inches off of the plate, and they're like, "Boo! You're not calling a strike." Like, come on, guys. I think you guys have enough breaks throughout the season. Tell your fans to smarten up a little bit. For the love of everything. I was so annoyed last night watching that game. I'm watching the strike zone because I had the strike zone up on my phone, and I'm watching the ball game, and I'm literally watching these pitches like 4 inches off the plate, and the fans are booing the umpire. I'm like, Jesus Christ. And not to say, because Yamamoto did get some questionable calls that were borderline on the box, but give the ump a break, man. They've missed like 1,500 calls in the first few weeks. You know, you can't call pitches 4 inches off the plate. I love you, brother. So really quick, the week ahead, Kyle, this is not going to be pretty for the Chicago Cubs.
I know what it is, Sean. I've seen it.
As we were just talking, we got Brown and Roki today, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to see because I'm going to be on that game show tonight. I'm going to have to try and keep tabs on it. But then on ESPN, my friends, the Chicago Cubs tomorrow at 6:10, we'll have, instead of Justin Steele versus Tyler Glass now, for all intents and purposes, it's supposed to be Colin Rea. It says Colin Rea. They can always change it. And, of course, all these starts are tentative. After the Cubs finish up in Hollywood, they head down to Southern California, where they play 3 against San Diego, Tyon versus Cease. Cease coming up, absolutely getting blasted in his last start. And then you have Shota. Hopefully he got blasted in his last start. Will bounce back versus Vasquez. And then to wrap that up before the Cubs head back to the north side, Matthew Boyd will have his fourth start of the year versus Nick Pivetta, who the Cubs touched up a little bit here on the north side. And then to wrap up the week before we're back with you guys again, we have Mr. Brown, Ben Brown versus Corbin Burns. Ugh. Kyle, as you look at this week ahead, this is 6 ball games before we see everybody again. What do you think? How do you think the Cubs will come out of this?
Don't you dare ask me the record. Sean, I'm hoping for 3-3. I'm expecting 2-4, 1-5.
I'm going to say I'm with you. I don't know that the Cubs will win in Los Angeles. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to win in Los Angeles. No. If they do, like you said, I think today is their best shot.
If they're going to do it today, it's got to be offense. Because Ben Brown's not going to allow 0 runs, guys. I can tell you that right now. He's not going to. It's not going to be a 0-0 game for Ben Brown. He's going to get hit up. He's going to get lit up a little bit. The Cubs have to match that mentality, that intensity. They have to go out there and score runs against Sasaki. Yep. Sasaki has not been pitching. Listen, I'm not saying he's been pitching terribly, but this is probably the worst you're ever going to see him in majors because he's making this adjustment. He's walking too many guys. He's pitching outside the zone. He can't find the zone to start the season. If the Cubs are going to do it, tonight's the night they have to do it. They have to go out there and make him pay. And make him pay early. Get him uncomfortable as early as you possibly can. Because, Sean, you know baseball. If these guys, even if they're sporadic, if they can get through those first 2 innings without a run and they start to settle down a little bit, then you're in really big trouble. If the Cubs are going to do it, Tucker, come out and hit a home run in the first inning. Just go hit a 3-run bomb in the first inning.
In Japan,
yeah,
the Cubs had him
on the ropes. They let him settle down. Yeah, that was the problem.
He settled down.
Can't do that.
So far, though, he's got a 208 whip, 9 strikeouts, 11 walks, and a 415 earned average. So he is creating some traffic. And if he does create traffic on those bases, the Cubs have to make him pay. They cannot settle. I don't care how they do it. Bunt, play small ball, manufacture runs. It's very, very tough to beat the Dodgers, especially in Los Angeles. They did come off back-to-back losing series heading back to LA. You're not going to find that problem, I believe, in their home in Chavez Ravine. So let's get to them early, push them across. Yes, Cubs. I agree, man. Cubs got to attack him, dude. They got to attack him.
You know, it's funny. I talked about this T-shirt before the show started. It's the only time anybody's ever referenced one of my T-shirts. Such cool T-Kyle. But yeah, Sean. I mean, you can't go 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. You can't.
No,
You gotta. It's gotta be over 50%. It's gotta be. I mean, they just can't. It's gotta be like one of those 5 for 9 with runners in scoring position. It's gotta be one of those games. This is their best chance to win. Tyler Glasnow is absolutely amazing, guys. He should be the second guy in this rotation.
Even coming off that start in Philadelphia, where Philly chased him after 2 innings, you expect him to bounce back.
Yes, that's everybody has bad days. Everybody has bad. We've seen it. You've seen Imanaga get beat up already this year. You've seen Steele get beat up already this year. The best of the best get beat up. But Sean, you know, it's something you said earlier that just is so scary. Like, I don't even think Ohtani pitching for this team's in the forefront of their mind. I think they're just going to keep him where he's at right now because he's so good. But God, can you imagine that? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if the rotation was Yamamoto, Sasaki, Ohtani, Glasnow, and Snell?
Yeah,
I mean, that's the greatest rotation I've ever seen.
And you're not even getting these guys to start the season. So I mean, they're using Dustin May, and Dustin May is off to an 0.82 start, earned run average, 7 strikeouts, 6 walks, 11 innings pitched. I mean, they're just getting production anywhere they go. And, you know, here, and again, you know, when I watched the Dodgers yesterday, and I'm watching them, you know, go through their bullpen, you know, after they take out their unbelievable superstar starter, and you're coming in with who are those guys that they brought in yesterday? The guys we wanted the Cubs to go after. Gosh darn it, I'm going to get their names because they're Kirby Yates and Tanner Scott, and even Tarian. You know, I mean, you bring in these 3 guys. I mean, they made the Cubs look silly. It was 9 up, 9 down, no pressure, painting the corners, and then I start to look like we've talked about, and you say, man, you know, the Cubs are a good team, but wow, what a talent gap between these 2 ball clubs, and it's not on the Dodgers. The Dodgers are playing within the rules. They're playing the same game that the Cubs could play. Go sign big players, pay the luxury tax, win a lot of games, compete for World Series championships.
To make more money.
Yeah, I hate what the Dodgers are doing.
You make more money. But the Dodgers are doing it right. The Dodgers are doing what everybody else should be doing. And you heard the Dodgers owner come out and say, listen, the owners who are telling you guys they don't have any money left for the baseball team are lying to you. We're just playing with, like you said, Sean, we're playing within the rules. We're just doing everything we can to win a world championship. We respect our fans. They spend a lot of money to come out here and see the Dodgers. We want to give them championships. That should be the mentality of the Ricketts. That should be the same exact mentality. Like, hey, like for instance, you guys, a lot of people were kind of laughing at the Dodgers owner, the Dodgers brass, because they're paying Ohtani $68 million a year when he's sitting on his couch in 15 years. But hey, listen, guys, right now the Dodgers are worth what, some $9-10 billion. By the time they're paying Ohtani that money, they're going to be worth $20 billion. You think they give a shit? They don't care. What's $68 million a year when you're worth $20 billion? To put it in comparison, Sean, so for the people who know, I think it's something along the lines of 1 million seconds is like 11 days. 1 billion seconds is 32 years. $20 billion is a lot of money. They don't care about $68 million a year for Ohtani when he's sitting on his couch retired. They don't care. They're going to be worth $20 billion by the time they're paying that money out. They don't care. They don't care. And that should be the mentality for every Major League Baseball owner in the majors, and especially the guys, Dodgers, Red Sox, Cubs, Yankees. All these teams should be spending copious amounts of money every single year. They should all be involved in the championship. The Padres spent that money. The Padres are not in the top 5. They spent that money.
It's pretty crazy. And to answer your question, Camel Toe, I'm going to be on a thing called the Great American Game Show tonight with it's a battle of the sexes. It's going to be 7 dudes versus 7 chicks. So my wife and 6 other of my friends' wives.
Game show. It's a game show.
Yeah, it's like they have games like Wheel of Fortune.
No. CT. It's not like broadcast. It's basically like one of those escape rooms where they try to mimic
Yeah.
an actual game show would look like. So you go in there and it's like in a fake studio and all that. But yeah, it's not on TV. You can't find Sean.
I wish it was on TV. I wish it was on TV. It looks.
Yeah, he says that now.
One of my friends' wives put it together. It looks like it's gonna be a good time. So we're gonna go check it out. I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna have 6 or 7 pops before I get in there. So
I wonder how the battle of the wits is going to go between the males and females.
Well, we go on at 7:40. We're meeting at 4 o'clock for cocktails. So we'll see where we're at 7:40. Should be interesting.
CTI, I have a strong feeling that the males are going to turn this into a drinking game once they start losing.
The unfortunate part is I don't think we can bring alcohol into the studio with us.
No, if it's anything like the escape room, you cannot bring alcohol, which is weird to me. If I was them, that would be my sales point. That would be what I'd push them out. Like, listen, how many people are going to do fake game shows and escape rooms? Like, you should be like, hey, listen, the best part about this is you can do it drunk.
Right. Have a full liquor bar there for us. That would be amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Like the escape room should be a bar. That's the room you have to escape from. Then people would never even try to escape. They'd be like, let's just stay here and drink.
Let's just stay here, yeah. So guys, I'm with Kyle on this one. I'm going to take the Cubs at 2-4. I think we might be coming back home under 500. We're 2 games over 500. I expect to be at 500 by the time we finish with the Dodgers. I would say they could take 2 out of 3 from the Padres.
Tonight's going to be a good game, Sean. It's going to be a fun game.
And Corbin Burns, you know what? Until they beat the Dodgers this year and they show me, I'm just going to leave it at a loss. The scary thing is if the Cubs score 8 runs, I feel like the Dodgers will just score 10. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, they're gonna need all their. It's gonna if Ben Brown could keep them in there, so when he leaves, the game is tied. It's gonna have to be like Porter Hodge, Merriweather. I mean, it's gonna have to be your 3 best pitchers after he leaves. I mean, it's sad because Sean, if you just you just talked about the Cubs or the Dodgers bullpen, I just told you probably the 3 biggest hitters in the Cubs bullpen. It's not even remotely close. The gap between these 2 teams is insane, but. Hopefully they can squeak one out, man. You never know.
Their 7th inning guy had 40 saves last year, dude. 40.
I know. But, hey, listen, they just lost 2 out of 3 to the Phillies. And the Cubs could certainly compete with the Phillies. So we'll see. It should be a fun game.
They can. Let's hope. I'm going to hope with all of you Chicago Cub fans minus CTI that the Cubs can steal one in Hollywood today. Until then, until next week, don't forget, we're going to be back Monday. We're going to be doing some fun draft stuff on the show as we approach Monday. It'll be 10 days.
Guys, this is crunch time, man. If you want to see that, you're going to see, Monday, we're going to go over who we think they're going to draft, who we wish they would draft, who we hope they don't draft. I mean, this is it. This is probably going to be one of the last shows we talk to you guys about the draft before it actually happens. Please, if you're in the area, 102 North River Street, East Dundee, April 24th. Doors open at 4 o'clock. Draft starts at 6, or draft starts at 6 o'clock. Please get out there if you have a chance. We'd love to see you guys out there. We're going to be giving away a bunch of stuff. It's all for charity, man. Half of it goes to charity, half of it 50 raffle. If you'd like, you can donate all of it to charity. But hopefully we'll see you guys out there. Appreciate you guys. Love you. Stay safe. CTI, thank you. Foster, thank you. Bruce, thank you. As always, Ant Mass, we appreciate you. Dustin, thanks for joining in there. I know he's working, so it's tough for him to get in here. So we appreciate it. Mike, always a pleasure. Hopefully I'll see you later, man, and have a good shift at work if you watch the rest of this show later. Go Cubs. Go Ben Brown. Let's get out of here.
Beat those Dodgers. Hey, bear down, Cub up. We love y'all. Stay safe out there, everybody. Until next week. Oh, Bruce is in the house.
Bruce. Thanks, guys.
Let's go, Cubbies. CTI, we know the Dodgers are going to win 125 this year, so can you give a couple losses to the Cubbies for us? We really appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, we love you. Stay safe out there.
Peace.
Peace.